What's going on, everybody? Ryan Collins with Midwest Outdoors here. I hope everyone is doing great. So in our last video segment, we used Navionics and Google Earth to help you be a more efficient angler in locating fish. So that way when you're out on the water, you spend less time looking for fish and hopefully more time catching fish. So what I want to do today is we're standing outside of my Skeeter FX21, and I want to expand on that a little bit and show you guys how I lay out my boat, how I organize my tackle to again help me be more efficient. So that way when I'm during a tournament or I'm out on the water, I spend less time looking for what I need and more time making casts and hopefully putting more fish in the boat. So what I want to do is bring you guys up into my boat, show you how I lay it out, how I organize my tackle, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, so we're up inside of my FX21 here, as I mentioned before. So again, as a tournament angler, organization is critical for me. So that way when I'm out on the water, I'm not digging through my boat trying to find that specific crankbait or that specific bait that I need. So for the most part, I'm fairly organized. I did just get done with the tournament this past weekend, so things might not be perfect, but let's go ahead and hop in. We will start right here in the center console. So this center section for me is going to be all of the tackle that I need on a regular basis, things that I need to get to quickly throughout the day. So as we open this up, you will see that most everything I have in here is going to be Plano boxes. I've used a ton of boxes in the past. Plano for me is just the staple. For me, they hold up the best, they organize my stuff the best, and I've never had any issues with them. So for me, Plano is the way to go. So again, in here is going to be everything that I need. I know exactly where it's at. It's going to be everything that I can get to relatively quickly. I kind of also internally organize it from top waters all the way to deep baits. So all the way up here in the front, you can see that I've switched over to the Plano Flex and Plano Edge boxes for this year. Something that I'm really excited about. So this is the Plano terminal box. First thing, they're super easy to open and keep all of my terminal tackle extremely organized. So when I'm up at St. Clair or on that big water and I'm bouncing around and things are shaking, everything's gonna stay nice and organized. I don't have to worry about, you know, my drop shot weights being over here with my flipping weights, or, you know, my hooks over here with my flipping weights, and everything stays nice and compact and organized. So big fan of the terminal box. The other big thing that I really like about this new Plano Edge series is every year when I get done fishing, I look and I just have rust over everything. Every year it seems I throw away hundreds of dollars worth of tackle. So the Plano Edge, they're all going to come with your water wick moisture bag, you know, essentially what you would see in like a shoe box. So that's going to absorb all of your moisture that gets into your box. But the other big thing is all of these compartments, anywhere that you see yellow, is going to have restrictor built into it. So if any rust does start to form, that restrictor is going to eliminate it and help it from spreading into any of your other tackles. So big thing here is all these compartments are removable. So I'm able to take these out, arrange them however I want to. Right now it's kind of not as full as I want it to be, but again, we're still working on it. It's still early in the year. So you can see I've got my drop shot hooks here, drop shot weights, some worm hooks, still trying to figure out what to put here. Got my Tokyo rigs here. I take a little label and label them. So we've got 3/0 Tokyo and 4/0 Tokyo, so I know which ones. 3/0 flipping, 4/0 flipping. And I really like the weight system that they use. So here I've got my 3/16 and 1/4 ounce weights. Over here we've got some 1/2 and 3/4, and then on this side again some more 1/2 and 3/4 just to spread it out a little bit. Peg stops. So again, this is the Plano terminal box. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this by now, but I'm a big fan of that. Again, we have an extra one here. This is gonna be a second one that I use. This is gonna be a lot more for my hardware stuff that I don't need to get to as often. You know, some swivels, beads for Carolina rigs, hitchhikers, some more split rings, cylinder drop shot weights, Carolina rig weights, extra treble hooks. So just some extra stuff that I throw in that terminal box. And then as we're moving up, Plano boxes again, I keep my frogs, my top waters, my jerk baits, my spinnerbait, buzzbait box, and then again, some of my more expensive and stuff that I really want to take care of, I have switched over to the Plano Flex boxes. So same thing with the edge. As we pull this up, so this is a box from my last tournament. So I created this box specifically for cold water crank-in and dirtier water. So this isn't all of the cold water crankbaits I own, but again, the Flex system allows me to create a box specific for what I want. And again, this was for my last tournament this past weekend that I actually won. So it is nice. Hopefully these are bringing me some good luck. So you see dirty water, cold cranking. So we've got our Spro rock crawlers down here. Red, obviously a really good color in the spring. This is the color that I caught them on this weekend. You can see I lost a couple in a brush pile. I'm pretty short on that color now, so we'll have to restock. But some more Spro rock crawlers. Some of the new Rapala OG Slim 6s we've got in here. Some more flat side crankbaits. You can see mostly all in crawl colors. Again, that early spring crank and rock. So the 3700 is awesome for crankbaits. Again, going to keep everything nice and organized. We've got, you know, another 3700 box here. This is going to be more of my shallow water, fishing around wood, square bill type things. So we've got everything from Strike King 1.5s to real shallow square bills, all the way up to 2.5s all thrown in here. So again, same thing with the terminal box. We've got our water wick technology here, and then restrictor built into all of these dividers. So this box comes completely empty. You're able to move these dividers around however you want. So really handy. I'm able to create it however I want. So, you know, my shad color 1.5s that I keep in the boat with me, you know, we're able to put them in a big spot. And then some of my shallower balsa style baits we're able to throw in their own compartments. So really excited about the Plano edge system. Now moving up, so you can see there's a little bit of a difference in depth in these two boxes. Not a whole lot, but enough to give me a little bit extra space. So this is the 3700 deep edge box, and I like the deep for my jigs. I'm a little bare on jigs. I need to restock them, but I really like throwing my jigs in here. So I've got like quarter, 3/8, and then halves down at here at the bottom. And this is the color I've been catching them on a lot lately. It's just a green pumpkin orange. You can see I've got one left, so definitely need to restock on those. So that 3700 deep, I'm able to store a lot of jigs in here. So I know if I need a quarter, 3/8, half ounce flipping jig, I only have to go to this box. I don't have another box for half ounce. Everything's in here. I know exactly where it's at. And again, water wick restrictor built into all of these dividers. So I know at the end of the season when I need to replenish on jigs, I'm not throwing $100 worth of jigs away due to rust. Some of the other boxes from Plano that I like to use is the smaller boxes. So this was a little chatterbait box I put together strictly for my last tournament. Again, you can see a lot of black and blue. I was fishing a lot of dirty water. So this smaller box, you know, I don't need a big 3700 for, you know, chatterbaits. You know, I don't lose a whole lot of chatterbaits. And to me, I know you can catch them year round, but for me, it's an early spring, right before they spawn type deal. That's when I have the most confidence in it. So I don't need a big supply of spinnerbait. So I've got, you know, my stealth style chatterbaits down here, my black and blues, a couple of shad, but I put this box together strictly for this past weekend, hoping to get a couple bites on it. But so the Plano offers a ton of variety to help save storage. Again, if I had a big 3700 box with just this many chatterbaits, it's just taking up too much room. And then I will share one other little tip here. So this is the smaller Plano spinnerbait box. As you can see, I don't use it for spinnerbaits, but what I have found is it's actually a really good swim jig box. So I throw a lot of swim jigs here around Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky. So I think this is the best swim jig storage I've been able to find. So they fit nicely in the slots just like a spinnerbait would. I'm able to see the size heads that I want here, and then I'm able to see the skirt colors, and they don't move at all. They fit nice and snug in there. So if you're looking for a good swim jig trailer or swim jig storage box, check out this. I believe this is the 3400 or 3500 Plano spinnerbait box. I have tried a million different ways to store soft plastics, and I've just not been able to find one that I've liked. I've tried the big totes, I've tried Ziploc bags, I've tried taking my soft plastics out and putting them in individual Plano boxes, and none of it seems to last the whole year, and they just get so unorganized. I found these bags about 2 years ago, so I've been running them for about 2 years, and I am thoroughly impressed with them, and in my opinion, the best way to store soft plastics, and I don't think I'll be changing anytime soon. Best thing is they're really not that expensive. As you can see, I've got a bunch of them, so the fact that you can get a bunch and not break the bank is pretty crucial for me. So I use the Plano Speed worm bags. They're the black ones. They got KVD's logo on them, so they got to be good, right? So again, I use the small ones and the big ones. The big ones have a divider in the middle, so stuff like this. So this is going to be my trailer version. So I like that they fold down at the top so I can see exactly what I am looking at when you zip them all the way down. So on this right hand side here, this is going to be all of my chunk style trailers. So the Berkeley Power Bait, Max Scent, meaty chunks over here, some Zoom salty chunks. So my chunk trailer styles over here. On this side is going to be my trailers for spinner baits, swim jigs, chatter baits. So a variety of different twin tail grubs, Zacos, Strike King Rage Menaces, stuff like that. Things I'm going to put on the back of a spinner bait, chatter bait. Trailers go on that side. And then for the smaller bags, I use more specific type soft plastics. So this one that I keep up in front, I do a lot of drop shotting. So this one's going to be all of my drop shot baits. Kind of a mess right now because I was using them this past weekend, but so this is going to be everything that I drop shot with up north. You know, my Jackal eye shads. That's actually a phenomenal drop shot bait right there, the Jackal eye shad. My Strike King Dream Shots, my Robo Worms. So anything that I want to drop shot with, I know if I need a drop shot bait, I can go straight to this bag. I know that's going to be all my drop shot baits. It keeps them nice and organized. And again, it's just the best way that I have found to store soft plastics. And the way that my Skeeter FX21's laid out, they fit easily on the side of these compartments here. So again, kind of a mess right now, but everything ends up usually going right back into place. So that's my center storage. That's how I organize my tackle, keep everything nice and organized. So let's move around to some more parts of the boat. Okay, so we went through my center storage, which is where I'm going to keep the majority of my tackle. On the port side or passenger side of the boat, the rod locker storage, that's where I'm going to keep all of my rods. So I use rod gloves, rod sleeves, whatever you want to call them. I've still got a bunch from when I was fishing in college, so that's the black and blue there from University of Kentucky. But my Skeeter FX21 holds quite a few rods. A lot of guys take out the rod storage, but because I use these rod sleeves, it helps me stay super organized. I'm able to pull a rod out super easy. Again, told you guys that was the color I was catching them on this past weekend, but so the rod sleeves make it super easy. I know if I need to dig out a rod even towards the bottom down here, I can pull it out. It's still going to slide out nice and easy. It keeps your eyelets protected and keeps you from damaging any of your rods while throwing them in there. So that's all of my rod storage. As we move around to this rod storage over here, I'm a little bit of a bigger guy, so as I'm sitting down driving the boat, balance in a bass boat is really important to get the maximum ride and efficiency out of it. So as I'm sitting on the starboard side or the driver's side of the boat, you know, my weight's going to counteract against the passenger side, so I like to keep this side as light as possible. So what we'll keep in here, we've been fishing in the cold. It's still in March here, so we've been getting some 28, 30 degree mornings, tournament mornings, so it's been a little cold. So, you know, I'll just keep like some face shields in here, an extra pair of gloves. My rain gear goes in here, you know, everything that's really super light. I'm still trying to find a way to store line, so if any of you guys have any line storage tips, please let me know. I use this bag that I got a long time ago. So this is going to be all of the line that I may need during the event. So I keep bulk spools in my garage, but all my leader line, or if I need to change out line in a hurry, I keep here. You know, so my Power Pro Super Slick V2, the new V2 here, and then any of my filler spools, and you know, my 10, 12, 16, 20 pound line. If I need to change it out in a hurry, I keep in here, you know, fairly light. Again, rain gear, maybe an extra rod or two, some waterproof boots just in case it starts raining. So this side's actually fairly light, and it'll stay like that for most part of the year. If we move back one more spot, this is probably my favorite thing on the Skeeter. This is the day box. I don't know what this looks like after this past weekend, so bear with me. All right, it's not horrible. So this day box is awesome. If I know, again, this past weekend, if I'm catching them on a specific crankbait or a specific spinnerbait, I'm able to take those out of my boxes in the center section and throw them in here just to save me time. So, you know, specific jig trailers I can keep here, specific spinnerbaits like you can see here, I'll keep chatterbaits hung up, jerk baits, a spare reel that I took off because I wanted to downsize my gear ratio. Up here I'll keep some dip and die, treble hooks that I was changing out, my crankbaits this past weekend. So anything I need to get to extra quickly, I keep in here. The other great thing about this day box is, yes, the Plano boxes are great at preventing rust, but anytime you take a wet bait and you put it back into the box that it came from, you're always going to have that option for rust. So when I cut off a spinnerbait or a chatterbait or a jerk bait, you know, that bait's wet, the hooks are wet. I can throw them in this day box, let it dry out internally in here, and have zero chance of it infecting the rest of my equipment in those boxes. So again, when I get home, I'm in my garage, I want to reorganize tackle, I can go ahead and take all these out now that they're dry, put them back in the boxes, and get ready again for next weekend. All right, moving down towards the console of the boat. Skeeter lays mine out really nicely. We've got some tool holders on each side here of my feet. So if I'm sitting here and I'm doing tackle and I'm re-rigging, you know, I've got my split ring pliers here that I use a lot to change out my treble hooks throughout the day. My braid cutters here, which I don't know if you guys have ever seen these, but these might be the best braid cutters on the market. My normal needle nose pliers here to get a fish unhooked or bend some hooks in, whatever I need to do there. And on this side, just a handy dandy pair of scissors. You never know. My culling board or my ruler fits nicely in there, out of the way. And then under my feet here, I don't know how ugly this is going to be, but one thing that I took for granted a long time, and I'm sure glad I have it now, is a trash can in the boat. So fishing line that I cut off, bottles. So yeah, it's a mess from this past weekend, but guys, please do not throw your fishing line in the lake. If you cut something off, keep it, put it in a bag, put it somewhere in your boat. We don't need fishing line all over the lake. It's just not good for the environment. It doesn't break down. So keep your fishing line. As you can see, I've got a ton of fishing line in here from cutting off. Again, plastic bottles in there. So again, please don't throw your soft plastics or fishing line in the lake. Keep them in a bag and then throw them away at the gas station on your way home. One other cool box here, I call it the glove box. It's on the passenger side. I don't get into this a whole lot, but I'll keep some random assortment things in here. So my fishing rope for when I tie up to a dock. Again, I keep a Plano waterproof box in here. This is going to keep my insurance, my boater safety course, any fishing licenses that I need, stuff if I get pulled over or a DNR wants to check anything. I've got it handy here, and that waterproof box keeps it from getting wet. You know, a scale, everything that I need to be compliant out on the water. So my flags, my whistles, anything that DNR requires my boat to have on it that can fit in there, I keep in there. So again, and throughout the day, I'll throw my keys and wallet in there. It keeps it dry, so I know exactly where it is. I put my keys and wallet in here every single time I go fishing, so again, I know exactly where it's at. As we open up this back compartment back here, you'll see I keep my life jacket back here. I'll either keep this back here or in that front rod storage, but my life jacket right behind the driver's seat, I can grab it easily. Another big thing that I like to use that I found this year are these big Plano speed top folds. So these actually come with them 3,700 boxes in them, but I took those 3700 boxes out. So you can see I've got 2 of them back here. And I've always had an issue storing swim baits forever. They come in various different packages, various different sizes, and I've never found a good way to store swim baits until I found these. So as we open these up, you can see the zippers, you can hear them, they're very heavy duty. So as I open this up, these are gonna be all of my swim baits that I use on a regular basis. Now, if I'm going to Kentucky Lake where they got big gizzard shad, all of my big 8, 10-inch swim baits, I'll keep in the garage, but that's usually bigger than the fish I'm catching in Ohio, so I don't keep those on me at all times. But all of my Reaction Innovations, you know, my Kitex, my Zoom, paddle tail swim baits, those are all gonna go in here. My Alabama rig style swim baits are all gonna go in here. So I'm really happy I found these this year. That stores my swim baits extremely well. And then same thing with this bag here. This is going to be all of my worms. I'm not a huge worm fisherman. I know a lot of guys are, but this is going to be all my big like 7.15 machetes, my big grass type worms, the ones that I'm not going to be fishing with all of the time, but I still want in my boat just in case I do need them. So my trick worms, my old monsters, all of those worms that you do need at some point, and you're going to be mad if you don't have them. I keep them back here in these big Plano speed top folds. So my boat's fairly empty right now because here in the spring I don't need to fish with a whole lot of stuff. You know, I got my crankbaits, my chatterbaits, my flipping stuff, so I don't need it jam-packed of everything. So again, I try to keep my boat as light as possible. You know, I don't need my 6XDs, my 10XDs this time of year. I need my square bills and my medium diving crankbaits. So all of that stuff is in my garage. And as summer starts to roll around, then we can start taking out some things and re-adding the deeper diving crankbaits, stuff that we're gonna need for the summer. So if you have the ability to store stuff on the side, lighten up your boat, take some weight out of the boat, I definitely recommend doing that. I want the right side of the boat light, my left side of the boat heavier to counteract the weight of myself and the console and everything as we're running. So on this side, I keep it heavy stuff, but also empty in case I am fishing with a partner. He's able to throw some of his stuff in here too to keep it out of the way, keep his feet clean. So that way we're not tripping over everything. So in here, I have an empty tool bag here, and I just keep a lot of my spare parts and stuff that I don't need to get to very often. So first aid kit, always have a first aid kit with you on the water. I've gotten some hooks in me, so having a first aid kit is nice. An extra kill switch, my please release me for the live well, some boat cleaner, a fire extinguisher, channel locks, my stay-bill fluid for my ethanol treatment, some microfiber towels, just anything that I need to get to clean the boat, first aid related, fix anything on the boat. I'm going to keep that in here. And then we've also got my weigh-in bag. Things do happen on the water, luckily for me, not very often, which is, I'm very fortunate. But if I were to break down or another angler was to break down, I've got a weigh-in bag so that we're able to put his fish in this bag or my fish in this bag. We can get them to weigh in while they're taking care of their boat. So we keep the weigh-in bag in here, and then also a spare trolling motor cable just in case. I've had a trolling motor cable break on me, and that's why I keep a spare now, because lifting up a trolling motor without a cable is near impossible. All right, guys, so that was a quick tour of my FX21 tournament boat, how I organize all my tackle, how I try to stay as organized as I can be. Again, you saw a lot of Plano in here. They were a big part of making this video a reality, so big shout out to them over there. I hope you guys found this interesting on how to organize some of your tackle. You know, I'm always looking for tackle tips, so if you guys got anything to help me out, drop them down in the comments. If you got any questions, drop them down in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer them. So I appreciate the time watching this, and make sure to subscribe to Midwest Outdoors.